Hello, hello, hello. This is the Vanilla JavaScript podcast. I'm your host, Chris Ferdinandi. Thanks for joining me. Today, I'm talking about learning how to think in JavaScript. One of the biggest challenges about learning JavaScript that I hear from my students is that they struggle to really think in JS. They may have learned about some different methods and browser APIs you can use, but have trouble knowing how to combine them into a working script, especially when you're starting from scratch. And this is really common. This is actually something I went through too when I was learning. I'm a self-taught front-end developer, and for the first part of my career, I was an HR guy. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from some senior developers, and that I've seen from others who were learning at the same time as me, is that the best way to learn JavaScript is by writing lots and lots of code. It helped me learn how to write code, how to structure code, and most importantly, how to solve problems, which is what learning to think in JavaScript is really about. It's how do I give a computer instructions in a way that solves this problem I'm trying to solve. This is a great approach, but it's not without its challenges. Like, for example, where do you even start? What projects should you work on? And what happens when you get stuck? Who do you talk to? How do you figure out what to do next? I was finding I'd make mistakes. I'd spin my tires for days sometimes trying to figure out what was wrong, digging through Google and Stack Overflow before I'd finally, hopefully, find a fix and get to keep going. And there's no substitute for putting in that hard work. I learned a ton, but it doesn't have to be quite so hard. You can get the same learning benefits without putting in quite as much kind of blood and sweat as I did. And with that in mind, I'm really excited to introduce this new offering that I think is going to help a lot of people learn JavaScript in a more meaningful way. Starting today, you can enroll in the Vanilla JavaScript Academy. This brand new program I've rolled out. You can learn all about it over at vanillajsacademy.com. And as a regular listener, you'll actually get an exclusive discount. More on that in just a few minutes, so stick through to the end. So the Vanilla JS Academy is a project-based online JavaScript training program specifically built for beginners. It's 6 weeks long, it's structured, and you're going to learn JavaScript as part of a small group of other students. Along the way, you're going to work on lots of fun projects, and to get the support that you need to work through challenges, I provide a few different ways that you can kind of interact with me and with other folks, and really just kind of help you get unstuck, so that the thing I used to do where you'd spend days kind of Googling and digging through tutorials and stuff, you won't have to worry about that. I'm going to make it easier for you. So here's how it works. Each week, you'll get a set of lessons and a mix of videos and articles that are focused around a core JavaScript topic. So for example, one week you're going to learn about working with APIs. Along the way, and along with those lessons, you're going to build 2 fun projects that reinforce everything you learned in that week's set of lessons. Unlike with the Vanilla.js pocket guides where you learn some stuff and then I walk you through a project, in the Vanilla.js Academy, I'm not actually going to give you any of the answers. I'm going to point you in the right direction and set you up. And then I'm going to leave it to you to figure out what to do next. And this is a big part of how you're going to learn to actually start to think in JavaScript. So you'll take what you learned from that week's lessons and use it to solve interesting problems and build cool stuff. And there's no question in my mind that at some point you're going to get stuck. So to help support you there, you'll also have the ability to join weekly video office hours with me where you can ask questions and kind of show works in progress and get feedback and things like that. And there's also going to be an exclusive private Slack workspace for just you and other students who are going through this program at the same time as you, where you can ask questions, share what you're learning, collaborate and team up if you need to, really just kind of get more support as you work through these things. This is a little bit different than the Slack channel that you're going to get when you buy my pocket guides, for example. That one is a little bit more kind of general in nature, so you've got people asking a whole bunch of different questions. This Slack room is focused specifically on people going through this program, so all of the content is really going to be focused around the projects and the lessons. So it's going to be really focused on what you're learning right now. So just to recap, 6-week program, 12 awesome projects, and tons of support to help you get unstuck along the way. So a few differences between this and the pocket guides, if you've been interested in those or if you've taken those. The pocket guides really focus on tactical knowledge around some specific topics, whereas the Vanilla.js Academy is all about teaching you to think in JavaScript with a specific focus on experiential project-based learning. This is for people who are serious about learning JavaScript. So it has a specific start and end date, weekly lessons and projects, and you should be willing to spend at least 4 or 5 hours a week working on your lessons and projects. Like all good things in life, the more you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it. And again, unlike the guides, I'm not going to show you how to complete the projects before I give them to you, so we don't walk through them together. I will, once they're done, show you how I would have approached them. But this is not kind of a we're going to sit down and walk through stuff together type program. This is like you're gonna get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, and really figure out how to do this. And that's where that real kind of deep learning is going to come from. A nice addition that you also don't get with my pocket guides is the video office hours. So you're going to get more high touch support from me than you would otherwise, which I think is really going to help you too, as you kind of work through some of this stuff and get stuck. So what sorts of things will you learn? There's a ton of different topics. I'm just going to touch on a couple of them. So you'll learn about things like AJAX, HTTP, and working with APIs. DOM manipulation, traversal, DOM injection, all of kind of those basic fundamental skills. ES6 essentials, how to write web apps without a framework, how to easily write cross-browser compatible code, and JavaScript performance tricks and tips. You'll work on really fun projects like a game where you have to avoid a monster who's hiding, kind of like an updated modern version of Minesweeper, if you're familiar with that game from way back in the day. A weather app where you find a visitor's location and display their local weather just automatically so they don't have to do anything. And an app to convert temperatures from Fahrenheit to Celsius and back again. So if all of this sounds awesome to you, you can actually enroll in the Vanilla JS Academy right now. The first session kicks off in the middle of May. Enrollment starts now. Head over to vanillajsacademy.com to do that. Vanilla JS Academy costs $4.99. That's just a flat cost for the whole program. But as a special discount available only to people who listen to this podcast and who read my daily developer tips newsletter, you can save 50% for the next 72 hours using the code Academy Insider at checkout. So let's go to vanillajsacademy.com, use the code Academy Insider to get your exclusive 50% off discount. This goes away on Wednesday, so if you're interested, don't wait. There will be other discounts, but none of them as big or as steep as this. Half off is a tremendous value. So if you're excited, you want to go check this out, definitely head over to vanillajsacademy.com now and give that a look. And if you have any questions or anything you want to kind of understand or dig into a little bit, feel free to send me an email and let me know. So that's it for today. And I hope to see you next time. Cheers.